Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Ryan with Riot Tech, and today I have a very special review because it's the very first time that a company has given me the opportunity and a chance to review a pad and a product. So before I even get into the review of this pad, I do just want to say a quick thank you and a quick shout out to Infinitymice. Y'all have been great when it comes to support. Whenever I've had to reach out to you, whenever I've had questions, the support team is great. The mouse pad is phenomenal, and I'll touch on that in a second, but I love y'all already. Again, thank you so much for sending this pad out to me. One thing I do want to say is, as a disclaimer, yes, they did send this pad out to me, but it's not going to affect my thoughts on the review. So with that being said, let's get started. So before I get into the actual review, I just wanted to go through a quick story. So whenever I was a kid in elementary school, my dad used to throw LAN parties when it was Unreal Tournament 1999, probably Quake 2, I would think. Because I think 3 came at a later point, but not necessarily at the point. So, I mean, I've been playing on mouse and keyboard for a long time. For anyone that doesn't know me, I competed in Halo for about a decade. So I was using controller for a long time, and then eventually came back to starting using mouse and keyboard again. Obviously fell in love with the mice community, the mousepad community, the keyboard community. Freaking love everybody. Whenever I initially got back into playing mouse and keyboard again, I initially started using a Logitech at one point. Went from a Logitech pad to a Glorious pad, and then from the Glorious pad, I started using the Aqua Control Plus. So essentially, I mean, if you haven't used one, I got a really big one. This basically looks like the scroll that Naruto used whenever he got the multi-shadow clone jutsu. So, I mean, it's freaking ginormous. You don't need a pad that's this big. I personally enjoy these whenever I take pictures and anything of my setup, just because it's nice to be able to have your keyboard and mouse kind of all on the mouse pad, but that's purely just for aesthetic purposes. You don't need anything this big. But the Aqua Control Plus is the reason that I wanted to start with. Like I mentioned, I've used the Aqua Control Plus for probably a year, maybe 2. I was consistently using some version of the Aqua Control Plus. This is meant to be a hybrid pad. So getting into this beauty of a pad right here. Obviously you can tell that it has the Rengoku upgrade, the modified version of this pad. It has been supported by Rengoku, so he's been really enjoying the pad as much as I have. But in all seriousness, the pad had 2 different options initially. So it had 490 by 420 by 3.5 millimeters, as well as a 490 by 490 with 3.5 millimeters. This pad is a really good size. The stitching, when you're looking at it compared to any other pad, you can tell when you can see the stitching on the side. This is below surface. So they essentially made it on the inside of the pad itself so that you're not going over the stitching, going over any part of the pad itself. I don't feel the stitching at all. I just go right across to the side stitching itself, not the inside of the stitching. For the base, they made it similar to the freefall pad, in my opinion. It's a little different because the freefall pad is built a little bit different in terms of the base. In terms of the stickiness itself, I mean, even touching it right now, it still feels really sticky. The infinity logo on the back is absolutely disgusting. Even the base of the pad looks good. I mean, I'm not even talking about the pad itself. I'm talking about the base of the pad. Anyways, I have to move it over because it got stuck. Literally makes my point. The base is really well done. So first, we can talk about the graphic. The graphic of this is absolutely insane. It looks incredible. And the way that the pad looks is the way that this pad performs. So, I mean, it's supposed to be a non-coated hybrid performance pad with a little bit of texture on the side. It kind of reminds me of the Aqua Control Plus, but an upgrade. And typically for me, I mean, coming back to starting to use mice and mouse pads again, I have tended to lean more towards hybrid pads, and this feels a little bit more on the control side than a speed pad. So I mean, I wouldn't say it's 50-50. I mean, it's a little bit more on the control side, than speed. But with all of that being said, there was something that whenever I was going through and, you know, thinking about what I wanted to do, at least in terms of talking about this pad, that I think Infinitymice themselves really answered what I thought about this pad. So look up any mouse pad, look up any mouse pad, any mouse, really anything that's come out lately in the last few months. The one thing that everyone is pushing for is to be high end, right? So, you know, if it's a mouse pad, they want to be high end. If you want to have a mouse, they want it high end. The one thing that they specifically said about this mouse pad wasn't that it was high end, but that it was top end. And I think they did that for a purpose, because I think within their description of the mouse pad itself, they basically doctor disrespected the mouse pad. They said, we're not a high-end mouse pad. We're not an A tier that, you know, just sits along other mouse pads. And, you know, you have other mouse pads that you might be using, but, you know, it's an A tier, so it's high-end, but, you know, you can use other pads if you want. This is a top end. This is an S tier. It's at the tippy top of the mountain. And once you use this pad, you don't want to take it off of your desk, is what Infinitymice did. They made a pad that wasn't high end. They made it top end to make sure that as soon as you put it on your desk, you didn't want to get it off of it. I will say I have 11, 12 different mice pads literally right here and over here in the corner. So I literally have 11 or 12 other mouse pads that I need to review. And the moment that this touched my desk, it hasn't left. Even before this mouse pad, I said, look, you know, I want to do reviews, so I'm going to spend some time on all of the different mouse pads that I'm getting. I'll use, you know, one every other day. I'll use a few whenever I play Call of Duty. Like, I'll just switch out games whenever I'm playing with the wife. Like, I'll play like 2 or 3 games on one pad and then switch, and then play another 2 or 3 and switch. Literally the moment that I got this mouse pad, it has not left my desk. There's 4 companies that I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens. Infinitymice being one of them. Artisan, obviously, Lethal Gaming Gear, and Soku. I think with the Soku pads that I just went through, I think they have a really good chance on being a newer company. I mean, just like Infinitymice, this is their their second mouse pad drop. So with this being their second, with Soku coming through with their first, I'm honestly really looking forward to seeing what Infinitymice does, because this being their second drop, in addition to the other pads that they dropped, Infinitymice is going to be a contender moving forward. There's companies that have come out, they've made mouse pads, they've been A tier, they've been B tier, like, hey, you know, you can buy this pad, it's a good pad, it's not super great, but, you know, you can buy it. This pad, literally love every single aspect of it. I literally give it an S plus in like literally any category. The stitching, I love it. The base, I love it. The visual, the graphic of this pad, insane. The surface, me being a hybrid pad fan that I typically lean towards hybrid pads, this mouse pad is literally my favorite pad right now. And I have, again, I mean, I have a ton of other pads next to me, so I don't know what else to say. I mean, this pad is incredible. Infinitymice, you absolutely killed it, and I'm looking forward to all of the other pads that you create in the future. This being the second one, whenever I saw the initial dual pad, I was like, dang, you know, I love the graphic. I'm really interested in what they do next. And then I saw this, and I was like, I don't even know where you go from here. I mean, this pad's already incredible as it is. I don't even know. I literally don't know how you move from here. So I'm really interested to see what Infinitymice does next. And yeah, I mean, I freaking love this pad. So if you did not already understand or get it, this pad is nuts. This pad is insane. This pad is incredible in every sense of the word. For a hybrid pad lover, this pad is just my favorite. It's so good. So for a hybrid pad, for their second drop, for even on top of that, the other pads that they added on top of this, I mean, Infinitymice and Lethal Gaming Gear, I feel like are the 2 companies that are specifically challenging Artisan, and they're doing really well. There hasn't been another company that has been able to touch Artisan. So seeing what Infinitymice and Lethal Gaming Gear are doing, I'm really excited to see what they do in the next few months and with the next pads that are coming up. With that being said, if you like this video, you should like it. Bruh, what are you doing? If you want to see the next video, you should subscribe. If you were curious about the other mouse pads on my desk, be sure to watch the next video. I was gone for a while because for the last 3 months I was super focused on Halo again. I used controller a ton and didn't really feel comfortable in scrims and studying for an exam and everything else to make videos on mouse pads when I wasn't really using them that much. So now that I'm back, now that I'm not playing on controller as much and I'm not in the Halo world, I will be posting a lot more videos. So be sure to catch the next one next week, and I will see you later. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment section below. And outside of that, I will see you all later. Peace.